You see, I need to get better at Zoom view. Hello, I'm the JMO, and welcome to another episode of Come Internet with Me, the web show with a gentle premise, browsing the web together. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can find all the links to the things that we visit in the show, today's show, in the blog post below. And don't forget, you can support the show and all of my other work at comeinternetwith.me/support. So let's have a look. Today's guest is Matt Colquhoun, AKA Xenogothic. Who's looking for an exit? Loading about. The name Xenogothic was initially a joke, an expression of a long-held feeling that I'm not very good goth. Matt Colquhoun is a writer and a photographer from Kingston upon Hull, where he spent most of his time growing up doing band photography, making zines and mixtapes. In 2010, he began an undergrad in photographic art at the University of Wales, Newport. After putting it to good use for a few years, he did a master's degree in contemporary art theory at Goldsmiths, University of London, scratching an itch to finally get to grips with Deleuze and to be taught by two of his heroes, Mark Fisher and Komodo Escher. This blog began as an excuse to keep writing after what turned out to be a post-traumatic postgraduate experience following the death of Mark Fisher in January 2017. Well, I've been following Xenogothic.com since pretty much the beginning, I think, and I'm really excited for today's episode. Matt, would you like to come internet with me?
Yes,
hey,
please.
man.
Hi, how you doing?
How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
I'm very much looking forward to this.
What have you been up to today away from the internet?
Gosh, I had a bit of a full Saturday. I woke up really early because I had a really weird dream that I got fired from my job because a pornographic spam email came to life. It was really horrible. And so I woke up at like 5 a.m. and then I picked up some shelves. I've just moved house, and then went to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park for a little afternoon, bothering sheep and seeing some awful Damien Hirst interruptions in the natural landscape. Fair
enough. A nice Saturday. And now you're here to come internet with me.
Yes.
What's your topic for today?
My topic is tornadoes.
Tornadoes. Well, let's just go. We'll start with the old Wikipedia page, which is like the front page of every episode so far. But it's, well, I don't really know anything about tornadoes, actually.
This is the thing, neither do I. I've got like this strange dream job. If everything in my life goes like completely west, I'd have this dream that I want to move out to America and just become a storm chaser. I don't know why.
I thought you were going to say just like walk into a tornado.
That would probably be how it starts. Just I'd live stream it, and then that would be the start of my new business venture. But yeah, I've always thought that. I've always had an obsession, but I've never actually looked into what tornadoes are about. I just think they look really cool.
That's about as far as you've got. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I remember actually before we go into the wiki, I remember as a kid, not really growing up in Southeast England, you don't really get that many tornadoes. It was one of those things where I always thought, are they real, or are they a thing that happens on kids' cartoon shows and like The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
It had a real, one of those weird things in my imagination that was obviously it must be based on something, but like until you verify it, like how do you even know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like
Because I think
mythical.
there was one near where I grew up. I didn't see it, but I remember hearing about it in the news, and it like tore a big tree down and flipped two cars. It was like and it was so minuscule, I guess,
Hmm.
that like that was all the damage that it did in this kind of small East Yorkshire village.
I do actually know found out recently that you get loads of tornadoes in the UK. So maybe
Right.
we can look that up in a little bit. But let's find out about a tornado. This is like all you need to know about tornadoes, that first paragraph of Wikipedia. It's all you need to have an opinion on the internet, that's for sure. A tornado is a rapidly rotating column of air that is in contact with both the surface of the Earth and a cumulonimbus cloud, or in rare cases, the base of a cumulus cloud. Let's open that. Excuse me. The windstorm is often referred to as a twister, whirlwind, or cyclone, although the word cyclone is used in meteorology to name a weather system with a low pressure area at the center, around which, from an observer looking down through the surface of the Earth, the wind blows counterclockwise. What? In the center around which, from an observer looking down towards the surface of the Earth, the wind blows counterclockwise. Oh, I see. From the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Well, there you go.
That's so weird.
You know, the first thing that I did when I was in Bali was to like look at the taps go the other way around.
I was gonna say, I thought that was just like toilets. I wouldn't have thought that's a scalable concept.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so excited. I remember watching it on Blue Peter where they like dug a hole and like poured water into it and then they walked over the equator and then they did it.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
something else we're just thinking because I don't know why. Is that just is that just gravity or is that polar
It's the
stuff? I don't even
magnetic
know.
field, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we
It's
could
just
go
these
down
things I
that
never
rabbit
really think
hole.
about. I mean, I know there's a few popping up already. I was just even the fact that I'd never really thought before about a twister being or a tornado being attached to a cloud.
Yeah. So it's one of
That's
these
quite
clouds.
odd.
So a cumulonimbus cloud is a dense towering vertical cloud forming a water vapor carried by powerful upward air currents. If observed during a storm, these clouds may be referred to as thunderheads.
Good name.
Cumulonimbus can form alone in clusters or cold front squall lines. That's such a good word, squall. These are clouds are capable of producing lightning and dangerous severe weather, such as tornadoes and hailstones. I like how it's species.
That's brilliant.
I haven't read Cloud Spotters Guide in years, but like, yeah, species of cloud. Oh, here we go.
Oh wow.
So the towering, can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool. Towering cumulus stage, 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. I wonder if that's important. And then I guess this is convection. And then you get dissipating stage. So I think well, that's all we need to know about the clouds, I think. Various types of tornadoes include a multiple vertex tornado, a land spout, and a water spout. Water spouts are characterized by spiraling, funneling shaped wind currents connecting to a large cumulus or cumulonimbus cloud. They're usually over water, right? Yeah, they're generally kind of non-supercellular tornadoes that develop over bodies of water. But there is disagreement over whether the satisfy them as true tornadoes. I mean,
I like that. It's other tornado-like phenomena that exist in nature include the gustnado, dust devil, fire whirl, and steam devil.
I really like the fact that these things have vernacular names instead of like
Yeah.
fancy science names.
They're so good. They're such good names as well. Gustnado is sounds like a bit of a fart in the wind though.
We've all had one of them. We've all done one of them. A gustnado is a short-lived, shallow surface-based vortex which forms within a dust spell emanating from a downburst emanating from a thunderstorm. Who's Ellison? Portmanteau by Ellison of gust front tornado as gustnadoes form due to a non-tornadic straight line wind features in the downdraft. Okay, who's this person? Oh,
was it Elysian?
Ellison, isn't it? Ellison? Yeah, well. You can tell none of her studied English.
Well, even then.
While often described as occurring in slurred speech, yeah, basically my entire life. Tornado rating scales. Cool. Right, where do you think we should go for here? I mean, there's a lot here. There are several scales for rating the strength of tornadoes. The Fujita scale rates tornadoes by the damage caused. Right.
Is that's the like F? I mean, I've already just seen the 1996 tornado related film Twister, which is I think basically where all my knowledge of tornadoes comes from, if any. But I guess that's because they always. I remember from that film, the main thing they're going on about is like they're trying to record the inside of an F5, which is just like they give this
like EF.
Well, I think that's what I was thinking. So I think F5 they give it like this mythical well, maybe that was even there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They call it the finger. No, it's fine. They call it the finger of God. Which yeah. So in the film, Preacher, one of Joe's crew members calls the strongest kind of tornado the finger of God. Which is
that's cool.
This is the thing, but I wonder how accurate that is.
So I've just Googled the finger of God. And this is what Google Images is going to give us. Nice. Well, that rock's quite famous.
Yeah.
But that is pretty wild.
I'm just now imagining like two twisters combining. Finger of God versus Finger of Man, the F1 versus the F5 combined to make.
So we had the Fujita scale, which is the damage,
right?
But there's an enhanced Fujita scale, which suggests to me that things have got worse, so they've had to like. I like how it's just look at this enhanced Fujita scale: EFU, no surveyable damage; EF0, light damage; EF1, moderate damage; EF2, considerable damage; severe damage, devastating damage, incredible damage. I mean,
weird time traveling thing. Because the one thing that I remember from Twister is they start talking about an F5 that they're going to go and find one, but I guess you wouldn't know what F scale it was until after the fact.
Yeah, clearly.
There you go. Don't trust Hollywood on that one.
The enhanced Fujita scale replaced the decommissioned in 1971 by Ted Fujita. I wonder a bit. Who's this guy? Oh, he's got a picture. Nice. Japanese-American meteorologist whose research primarily focused on severe weather. He also discovered downbursts and microbursts. He is an instrumental figure in advancing modern understanding of many severe weather phenomena and how they affect people, communities, especially through his work in the relationship between wind speed and damage. Wow.
See, that just sounds like the funnest research area.
It's probably pretty bleak, actually.
Actually, no, that's true. This is the fine line too that you always get with this sort of. I remember watching it. There was a Netflix series called Tornado Hunters, and there's a lot of them being very giddy about what they're seeing, and then immediately having to like very dramatically shift gear
drive away.
As they go to like the into the damage path and like. Your life's been ruined, and I'm really sorry. I'm excited about this.
Let me get it on camera.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have to try and watch that line, even just here.
Okay. Well, so that's what else have we got? So incredible damage. Well-built framed houses destroyed with foundations swept clean of debris. Steel reinforced concrete structures are critically damaged. Tall buildings collapse or have severe structural deformations. Cars, trucks, and trains can be thrown approximately a mile.
Damn.
There's a picture. Wow.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Apart from the welding gear over there.
That's from a mile away.
Yeah. I just closed it. That was stupid. Okay, we'll go back to the main tornado page and we'll see what else is there. Doppler radar data, photogrammetry, and ground swell patterns, trochoidal marks in geometry is a roulette formed by okay, cool. May be analyzed to determine the intensity and signing of the rating. Etymology. The word tornado comes from the Spanish word tornado, past participle of turn or to have torn.
Oh,
I thought it was going to be like, as that sentence went on, I thought it was going to be like tornado or something, you know.
yeah. I don't
Just
think
tornado.
that really makes. That doesn't make sense. There's some weird like Anglocentrism going on there. It's a new word that comes from a word that sounds like the word that we're talking about. But I guess there is probably an interesting pronunciation difference.
A tornado is commonly referred to as a twister or an old-fashioned colloquial term, cyclone. Let's have a look at the dates on those things. Oh, not very interesting. 1998. Where were we? Oh, this is a long page. This might just become Wikipedia with me. Where were we? Here we go. So it said about it being a cyclone or a tornado. What I'm actually quite interested in is what are tornadoes in like indigenous culture? Because we're only going back as far as colonization. Maybe we could hang a lamp on that because I'd actually quite like to know.
Yeah.
What are they in like mythology? I guess would be the best search.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too.
A tornado, violently rotating column of air. Blah, blah, blah. Funnel cloud, outbreaks, and families. Multiple tornadoes produced from the same storm cell are referred to as a tornado family. Several tornadoes are sometimes spawned from the same large-scale storm system. If there is no break in activity, it's considered a tornado outbreak. The size and shape. Most tornadoes take on the appearance of a narrow funnel, a few hundred meters across, in the same cloud of debris with a small cloud of debris near the ground. Tornadoes can be obscured completely by rain. Relatively weak land spouts may be visible only as a small swirl of air or dust on the ground. I mean,
they're so creepy looking. Especially that picture's amazing.
That one,
like the rope tornado. Yeah, like a weird tendril coming down from space.
The finger of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that photo is amazing.
Space octopus.
Well done running on brains for finding that at the NOAA.gov website. Congratulations. Appearance. Wide range of colors depending on the environment in which they form. Those that form in dry environments can be nearly invisible, marked only by swirling debris at the base of the man, that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
If you couldn't see it. If there is any Americans or people that live with tornadoes right now, I'm really sorry for our ignorance, but I can imagine it is terrifying, and I'm solidarity with you if you've got to go through one of these. Tornadoes normally rotate cyclonically, viewed from above. Again. Wikipedia's classic, state it up top and restate it in more detail down the bottom. Oh, how cool is this? Tornadoes emit widely on the acoustic spectrum, and the sounds are caused by multiple mechanisms. Various sounds of tornadoes have been reporting, mostly related to familiar sounds for the witness, and generally some variation of a whooshing roar. Popularly reported sounds include a freight train, rushing rapids, or a waterfall, a nearby jet engine, or combinations of these. Many tornadoes are not audible from much of a distance. The nature of and propagation distance of the audible sound depends on the atmospheric conditions. The winds of the tornado vortex funnel clouds also produce sounds. Funnel clouds and small tornadoes are reported as whistling, whining, humming, or the buzzing of innumerable bees or electricity.
Just adds to the terror, I imagine.
Do you think that's some sort of like where you can't process the white noise that's so loud that you just end up interpreting it to sound like, I can't remember what it's called.
Right, yeah.
Tornadoes also produce identifiable inaudible infrasonic structures. Fucking hell. Tornadic signatures, that's the name of my next band, have been, unlike audible signatures, tornadoes have been isolated due to the long distance propagation of the low frequency sound. Tornadoes also produce detectable seismic signatures. Electromagnetic lightning and other effects.
Whoa.
What was that?
Oh, it was this composite of 8 shots. I thought, like, just on the bottom left, I thought that was just a family having a field day, but it's a composite. But that would have been a bit much, I think.
A family of tornadoes having a day out.
Yeah, just a stroll along the prairie.
Does it say how long they were shot apart? No. That's a shame. Like, how quickly does that happen?
Yeah.
I'm going to find out how quickly. How long does it take for a tornado to form and touch the ground? Well, some of those videos were 2 minutes long, so that kind of answers that question.
Yeah.
Tornadoes can form extremely quickly, forming and touching the ground within minutes. A funnel can drop from the sky with very little warning. Imagine just being like out in the field or something and you're just gone.
Yeah, well, from my extensive research, watching Twister multiple times, that seems to be the whole, and also Tornado Hunters on Netflix. It all seems to be about that, like how they can just monitor like clouds developing from satellites, and that's all they have to go off in terms of just predicting when these things are going to touch down, which seems pretty intense. Yeah, especially when you sort of know, when you get to that point, especially talking about supercells and whatever else, where the conditions couldn't be any riper, but you don't know
where they're going to hit the ground.
Yeah. It's crazy.
A satellite tornado, multiple vortex tornado. A multiple vortex tornado outside of Dallas, 1957. There's 2 next to each other. Oh man, look at that. Let's have a look. So a multiple vortex tornado. Sorry, you're not interesting enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Imagine being like a sailor. Like, forget like pre-internet, but just like coming to shore after being at sea for like a month and just going, so we saw this thing. Right? We saw this thing and it just came out of nowhere.
That's like, is that other, again, all my references are going to be films, but that film, the Perfect Storm, where I feel like, don't they just talk about like this, like the biggest wave you've ever seen? I can't imagine like any sort of size of waves going to be that exciting compared to something like that coming out of just on the horizon or
I don't know.
you.
I don't
Well, I
know.
mean,
I've watched
pretty big
I've watched a
wave,
lot of um America's Deadliest Catch when they had like massive waves that were like, you know, just enormous waves in their little tiny boat. And they're all looking at it, just going, turn into it, turn in.
Yeah, not a whole lot else you can do.
Yeah.
Christ.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag kind of gave me a lot of knowledge about how to like deal with waves in a boat, sailing that ship around.
I've never played it. Has it got good sea physics?
I mean, you were talking about Wind Waker earlier on, but like
Right.
it's basically just Wind Waker for Assassin's Creed. Go here, do that, sail to another place. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up because I have been playing a lot of. I'm at that stage of coronavirus lockdown where I've downloaded a GameCube emulator, and as soon as you clicked on that water spout, I was like, oh, that's where the god of the wind comes from, and he gives you the Ballad of Gales, so you can. I can't believe I actually hadn't thought about. I was playing a bit this morning since I woke up so early, and I hadn't thought about fighting off frog riding clouds in tornadoes and thinking, oh, this will be something to chat with Jay about later. Didn't make that connection.
Isn't there what's the other boss called in that game? There's like I always used to get there was like a kraken or something. I haven't played it since it was isn't there like a huge kraken that comes out the sea?
Yeah, I mean there's like a few they do
like,
have like these big octopus things. Yeah. I couldn't tell you what it's called. I can't remember.
I can't believe how many adults were mad about that game back when it came out, about how it ruined the Zelda franchise.
About the cell shading and
that
stuff.
game holds up. Like, it's beautiful.
So good.
And all games look like that now.
Yeah. That's the thing. I couldn't. I literally looked when it came out the other day, 2002, and I remember getting it when it came out. It was like the flagship sort of GameCube game. I didn't play anything else for what felt like years, and I mean, I'm still playing it. So, but no, that game is so underrated. It's so much fun.
But then we got all of those tragic, like train waker games on the DS where you had to like build a train Zelda, or like you don't remember those.
I think I avoided them. I was
tapped out.
Yeah, I didn't play any Zeldas after it apart from until I did play Twilight Princess, but I didn't rate it. And then it was Breath of the Wild. That's what rekindled my love of that very
great game.
Yeah.
Well, what should we look up now?
It's kind of that seems like a decent segue in terms of how tornadoes feature in that game to the mythology.
All right, I'm gonna go for tornadoes in pop culture and tornadoes in mythology.
I should do Wind Waker aside. I should do a shout out for my favorite tornado in popular culture is in Twister, but it's the one, it's the big one that comes down on a drive-in cinema scene, and everyone at the cinema is watching The Shining, and this F5 like comes in and smashes everything apart, like just as Jack Nicholson's
coming through the
this thing. It's so good. I think it's the most inspired Twister cameo on film for me personally.
When did that movie come out?
I think it's at 1996 on that. I won't pretend that I knew that. I think, and I'd be worried if I did.
You just saw it.
Yeah, I think it was on the Wikipedia page.
Fair enough. I don't think I've seen it since 1996 or 7.
I've seen it far too many times. I think I couldn't have seen it in the cinema. That would have been fun though.
Okay, tornadoes in popular culture. Cultural significance of tornado. And we're back on. The Tornadoes were an English instrumental group in the 1960s.
That's true.
Tornadoes. All right. Wikipedia, we're back to you because you're the most helpful website on the internet. Storm cellars are often used as a means of shelter. In the case of tornadoes or tropical cyclones, Wizard of Oz. When properly constructed, they can survive an F5 tornado. Some individuals and hobbyists, known as storm chasers, okay, already gone through that, due to the relatively rarity of large-scale destructive power that tornadoes possess, their occurrence or the possibility that they occur often created or considered sensationalism in their reporting. This results in so-called weather wars, in which competing local media outlets, particularly TV news stations, engage in continually escalating technological one-upmanship and drama in order to increase their market share. This is especially evident in tornado-prone markets, such as those on the Great Plains. I also like American coverage of storms, like hurricanes that are really dangerous, and they just have the weatherman outside in the rain. You know, it just seems so crazy to me. Or he's out on a balcony somewhere, and it's like the city's already flooded below. It's just like, get inside, mate.
Yeah.
According to the Environment Canada, the chances of being killed by a tornado are 12 million to 1.
As long as you get out of Dodge when one appears, anyway. I can't imagine. I imagine the odds are slightly different if you are a storm chaser.
A 1960s advertising campaign for the household cleaner Ajax claimed the product cleans like a white tornado. Numerous athletic teams. Okay. Motion pictures with a tornado. This is tornado and tornado myths. I've got that open in the other browser. Literally, that's it. Is that it?
Yeah.
A cyclone is a metaphor for political change in the 1894 United States elections. The farm woman taking shelter is labeled Democratic Party. Does it literally say fuck? Can I zoom? How do I use Brave? I'll zoom in. Well, there you go. Jefferson. That must be the slate. Well, tornado myths. Incorrect beliefs about tornado. I don't want that. Safest location.
Was it you were? It was you were saying about how indigenous cultures.
Yeah.
That's more specific.
Let's try tornadoes in world mythology. Ask anthropology. Native American tornado mythology.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
Age of Empires. I
think this is what's so interesting about tornadoes in a lot of sense, and though I thought there'd be more about it, because it is just something that seems to slip through a lot of cracks in a way, at least information about them. I thought it'd be far more sort of all over the shop, but it seems to be quite focused, which is
very factual.
Surprising. Yeah,
which is good because I mean,
it is good.
Yeah, but I'm also using Ecosia, which is like the best search engine. So
yeah, it's just not the internet that I know. It's like, where's all the batshit craziness? Where's they'll probably, I imagine that there'll be something like tornadoes are proof of flat Earth or something somewhere.
Yes, probably. I mean, we could probably find it. But the thing is because I'm using a clean browser every time as well. So I've got like, this is like the surface of the internet before you've got any cookies or anything. Right, that's the link. Cool. Cyclone person, Shawnee. Oh, I see. These are what they're called in the different languages. Whirlwind woman. They were seen as living beings by Native Americans, who were obviously animists. Thanks for that. And in American Southwest, twisted dust devils were personified as evil spirits. Any lack of knowledge around tornado mythology today is simply due to no written accounts. Wow. You may be interested in the book Mankaya and the Kiowa Indians, Survival Myth and the Tornado by Michael Merchant. The Kiowa called the tornadoes Mankaya, which is the great medicine horse, or a horse-like spirit. This would have been post-European contact, obviously. Since
I'm
also...
literally going to write that down, though, because I actually do want to read that. That sounds cool.
Another great book to read is Black Elk Speaks, being the life story of a holy man in the Ogallala Sioux, where he gives a very detailed description of an approaching tornado. There are other accounts, I believe. Cool. I like how this Oli Skandar posts to Reddit. I've noticed a shocking lack of tornadoes in mythology. The Carlisle posts this very long and informative reply for Reddit standards, and they're like, I'm familiar with most of these. The internet. Europe sees an average on 30 tornadoes per year. I thought, like, I'm sure I read something where like the UK gets that many, but they're like tiny mini ones.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. In Greco-Roman mythology, you had Aeolus, the divine keeper of winds, and the mythical floating island of Aeolia. On his island, he kept the storm winds locked away, releasing them. Yeah, Aeolus and his bag of wind. That's in the Odyssey. I remember that. In the Aeneid, Virgil speaks of tornadoes set forth by the storm winds in the following. The goddess came with the storm cloud to the storm cloud country, the womb land of brawling Sycaros, Aeolia. Here in a huge cavern, King Aeolus kept curbed and stalled, chained up in durance to his own will. The heaving winds and far reverberating tempests. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would have used a better translation.
Far reverberating. Clunky.
In southern Chile, Argentina, they use the same word, milulan, for wind vortexes of any size, from tornadoes to a tiny flutter of leaves. Oh, that's nice. These, they believe, are inhabited by harmful trickster spirits that can cause illness or even death if they catch you, and especially dangerous for children. At midday, they would traditionally stay indoors as they believe that is the prime time day for milulan. Having one appear at a ceremony is a bad omen. I wonder if that means like a leaf spinning down is a bad omen as well.
I guess they'll have I'm imagining if they have their own Fujita system for omens, F5 omen. A tornado at your wedding is probably a pretty bad sign, but maybe a few leaves is just like bad luck. I don't know, maybe it's lucky. Isn't that something like rain on your wedding day is going to actually be bad luck, or like a bird pooping on you? I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
Mine's just flailing now.
Such as that Damien Hirst that you went to see.
Oh God. Oh dear. Yeah.
You were only there for you were only there for a couple of minutes looking at it. Imagine what it's done to our society after the last 20 years.
Truly.
In the Holy Quran, in Arabic, it translates to, does any of you wish that he should have a garden with date palms and vines and streams flowing underneath and all kinds of fruit, while he is stricken with old age and his children are not strong enough to look after themselves, that it should be caught in a whirlwind with fire therein and be burnt up? Does Allah make it clear to you his signs?
Oh, that's reminding me of Have you ever been to Magma?
No.
No, it's this. It's this really. Actually, I don't even know what I'd call it. I was going to be disparaging, but that's probably not fair because I haven't been in a long time. But there's this. It's probably near here actually, where I've just moved. I should probably go at some point when the Rona's over. But it's this like science museum that's built in an old. I think it's like an old mining or smelting or steelworks, maybe near Sheffield,
Mhm.
and they just got loads of random science exhibits, but they're a bit edgy because it's in a steelworks, so it's pretty like an industrial science museum in
Yeah.
the sort of like slightly gothic sense. And they have this one display that's a fire tornado where they will just randomly generate every like 20 minutes. They'll have a fire tornado be displayed, where they just like squirt a lot of petrol into like this. It looks like one of those. It's like a weird funnel dish, and then they spray some oil, light it, and then have this air current, and then you just get to watch a fire tornado, and it's really hot for like 10 minutes. That probably is a. I literally just remembered this, and I think that's probably a fair origin story for where my interest in tornadoes was. So we used to go like every year as like a school trip. They'd like take us to this place, and it was really cool. I don't even know if that's still open actually. Anyway,
Wow.
digressing. But yeah, fire tornadoes, because that's the what. If you want to hook kids with science, you just have
Fire
show them a fire
tornadoes.
tornado. That'll do it.
Well, yeah. Let's look at a picture of fire tornadoes. I know that they had some in Australia, didn't they? As part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Look at this.
That's crazy.
Damn, son.
It's literally just like two nightmares coming together and having a baby.
I know I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at wildfires or forest fires or tornadoes.
But they're so
it's crazy. I can't. It's just hard to imagine. I mean, that looks like a YouTube. Yeah, it's definitely from YouTube.
Yeah. It does remind me though of what you were saying before about like not having no experience of these things. Because I guess the other thing that it reminds me of is like because earthquakes are fairly prevalent in this country too, though again not strong ones. But I don't. Have you ever experienced an earthquake, at least in the UK?
No.
So I remember there was one. I remember I was doing my A-level English literature coursework in bed at like 3 a.m. It was like the day before a deadline, and there was this earthquake in the middle of the night. And that was, I mean, again, for people that probably experience these things fairly regularly, it's probably nothing at all. But I'll never forget the sensation of just this small house in just the fact that it was in the UK blew my mind. But I'll never get over the experience of just things shaking out of nowhere. The whole world just feeling like it's, I don't know, it's so bizarre to actually, I don't know, beyond the whole Hollywood. I can't even string words together trying to feel what it felt like, because I'm just very aware that for so many people it's probably like not remotely unusual.
One of the people in my family moved to Taipei, and they haven't ever got over earthquakes. You know, as a thing. Just like every time it's like, oh, that's happening.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that's like if I ever saw a tornado or even a fire tornado, I think it would be even if I actually saw one and it was like bearing down on my house, I think I'd look at it and probably still laugh, just from the sheer like what the fuckness of like witnessing that accumulative nightmare.
I read a thing. It was in a book of about American landscape poetry. I can't remember who it was by, but there's a poem about the first time they saw the Grand Canyon and how they just laughed at it because like the scale of it was just so impossible to imagine and take in that there was nothing that they could do except it wasn't awe that they were experiencing. It was just they just had to laugh basically. So this over here is a shell in, from an excavation in 1879 of a tornado, depicting a tornado. Here we've got, you see, this is proper internet right here.
Yeah, old school geosites. What is it called?
I have started following this amazing Tumblr blog called I'll put the link in the show notes and I'll send you the link as well. But it's basically the people that saved something like 2 gigs of GeoCities, which is like
Oh wow.
an immense amount of sites, and they just post one every day, and it's like they post like they rebuild the blog from all the data and just show you the front page of the blog.
That's beautiful.
And it's like, I mean, it's exactly the sort of internet which is when I was interneting with my friend Dan in Broadstairs Library, this was the sort of internet we were looking at.
Yeah. My first blog was a GeoCities.
Yeah, me too. Mine was a Star Trek, Star Wars fan site that had loads of fan fiction on it.
Yes.
And it was yellow text on a black Starfield GIF, moving GIF that was really small and repeated.
That sounds like the first.
Yeah, so it was just like this trippy. Yeah, it was awesome.
Sounds like the fire tornado of the early internet.
But yeah, I mean, I was probably like 11 or something, and we got like the how to write HTML books out of the like from behind us in the library, and yeah, it was cool.
I did that too. I forgot. Yeah, you get the hate. I love getting those books and like
learning how tables work and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I remember getting those out and like poring over them because I felt like a coder. I felt like I was like a hacker in a Hollywood film. Yeah, essentially, it was wild. Looking back at that now, I remember there was still a point where I used to put that on like CVs, like I have a reasonable knowledge of HTML in case that's useful to any employers. That I think that get laughed out if I did that now, but there was a time.
Yeah, like I mean, my CSS is pretty good, but like it's not the sort of thing that I put on a.
Yeah, I mean, I never graduated CSS. still stuck in the mid 2000s.
I have a half-written blog actually about like how I'm like really. I mean, I don't know how we've got onto this because I'm going to talk about Excel. We're like well off topic, but like I've got this half-written blog about whether I should put advanced Excel user on my CV or not. I'm in my 30s, but like the thing is, there's always someone better than you. And if you apply for a job anywhere, someone's going to look at it and go, "Oh, really?" You know, you think you're an expert. But like the other day, I wrote like a 300-400 character Excel equation that was using regex and shit inside it, and I'm like, I think that's pretty advanced. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's graduates out there that don't know how to use pivot tables.
You're interneting with one.
I'm just getting like grumpy old man about Excel.
No, but it's. I mean, I had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day after the whole like debacle with the coronavirus figures, and everyone was sort of saying that it was like an Excel glitch or whatever. But I remember, I mean, I'm probably more of a Philistine than I actually am self-aware of. But I remember she was sort of saying like, "Oh, I know what that'll be," because everybody knows that when you do like if you reach a certain threshold in this version of Excel, it breaks. Everybody knows that. And then the fact that it was like national news and I had no idea, and that made me feel like there is a scale of Excel expertise that in that moment was very apparent to everyone. Like, so I
actually thought that them using Excel at the beginning of the pandemic was a good idea because everybody has Excel in the NHS infrastructure. But anyway, so
that's beyond the
scope. Native American tornado mythology. So we've got 3 here.
God, that's a great brief of Caddo legend about the origin of tornadoes and why death is permanent. What a leader! That's a click from me, I think.
Legendary Native American figures. Cyclone person is a storm spirit of the Shawnee and Lenape tribes. Some sources identify cyclone person as male, while others identify cyclone person as female. It's possible that the cyclone person was not initially anthropomorphized at all, like the Great Spirit. Different communities conceptualize it differently. Yes. Same with the moon in European folklore. Dark tendrils of the tornado are described as the long flying hair of the cyclone person.
I like that. That's nice.
Despite this being's destructive power, she is not considered antagonistic and is usually viewed positively, particularly by the Shawnees, who consider cyclone person a kindred spirit and a friend of their tribe. Next, the flying head. Flying heads are undead monsters from the legends of the Iroquois tribes. The flying head appears as a huge disembodied head with fiery eyes and long tangled hair. They fly through the air, pursuing humans to chase and devour. The origins of flying heads vary greatly from story to story. A flying head is created from a violent murder scene, and several heads of the victim grow to an enormous size, or the head emerges from a mass grave. In others, the head is transformed into a flying head after committing an act of cannibalism.
Damn.
In many stories, the origin of the flying heads is not remarked on. Flying heads are associated with whirlwinds in many Iroquois communities. Okay.
That's an amazing.
And then you can read, there's all these stories written on this website. This is amazing. Whirlwind woman, powerful storm spirit in the Northern Plains tribe. Although destructive and dangerous, she is not malevolent, but rather a force of nature like a thunderbird, and brings spiritual gifts and visions to worthy humans. In some traditions, she has always been the spirit of the tornado, while others, she is a human girl who turned into a whirlwind woman after being carried away by a tornado.
I used to have this amazing collection of ghost stories. That was like, it was like a condensed American history of the ghost story, and the very first story in that book was about thunderbirds, which I always thought was amazing. There's probably something in that too. But
so here's the full coyote in the whirlwind.
God, this is so goth. I love it.
Okay. I really want to read this properly, but it's like, as soon as he sat down in the beginning of the world, there was no such thing as death. Everybody continued to live until there were so many people the earth had no room for any more. The chiefs held a council to determine what to do. One man rose and said he thought it would be a good plan to have the people die and be gone for a little while and then return. As soon as he sat down, Coyote jumped up and said he thought people ought to die forever. He pointed out that this little world is not large enough to hold all the people, and then if the people who died came back to life, there would be no food, wouldn't be enough food. All the other men objected. Everyone except Coyote decided to have people die and be gone for a little while, and then come back again to life. The medicine men built a large grass house facing the east. When they had completed it, they called the men of the tribe together to hold the people who died would be restored to life in the medicine house. The chief medicine man explained that they would sing a song called The Spirit of the Dead to the grass house. When the spirit came, they could restore it to life. All the people were glad because they were anxious for the dead to come and live with them again. When the first man died, the medicine man assembled in the grass house and sang. In about 10 days, a whirlwind blew from the west and circled around the grass house. Coyote saw it, and as the whirlwind was about to enter the house, he closed the door. The spirit of the whirlwind, finding the door closed, whirled by. In this way, Coyote made death eternal, and from that time on, people grieved over the dead and were unhappy. Now, whenever anyone meets a whirlwind or hears the wind whistle, he says, someone is wandering about. Wow, that's lovely. Ever since Coyote closed the door, the spirits of the dead have wandered over the earth trying to find some place to go, until at last they discovered the road to the spirit land. Coyote ran away and never came back. But when he saw what he had done, he was afraid. However, after that, he has run from one place to another, always looking back first over one shoulder and then over the other to see if anyone is pursuing him. And ever since then, he has been starving, for no one will give him anything to eat. Wow, that's a lovely story.
Yeah. I'd never thought about tornadoes as ghosts before, but I suppose that makes perfect sense.
Or even just the whistling of the wind as a ghost.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's cool. This page is enormous. If anyone is watching this, I'll link this page down below. What's this? I
was kind of struck in that story, at least at first I was as a sort of origin or a story to explain death It was surprisingly utilitarian.
Yep.
Would not have thought that.
I mean, Genesis doesn't do a very good job of it.
No.
Weather Legends, Native American. Moon Tales are set. That looks like a cool book. Very cheap as well. Cheap as chips. Oh, there we are. I'm not you. Go away. Are tornadoes excuse me? Are tornadoes increasing in the UK? Why warning is so rare in Britain and how they form? Isle of Wight tornado warning. How frequent? There's 30 to 50 tornadoes in the UK in an average year. They really are like anything as destructive. Yeah, 95% of British tornadoes are classed as F0 to F1, meaning their winds rarely top speeds of 112 miles an hour and only cause moderate damage. The relative scarcity and lack of power is what make tornadoes warning so rare in the UK. The Fujita scale of tornado intensity goes up as high as F5. Well, actually, Mr. iNews, we actually know that it's the revised Fujita scale that classes the F5 as incredible damage.
Schooled. Take that.
In history, there's
one Wikipedia research.
In history, there's only been one F5 strength tornado. That's because we read the whole Wikipedia page.
Yes.
And not the first paragraph. The earliest tornado reported in Britain and struck London in 1091. The then wooden London Bridge was demolished and the Church of Mary le Bow was damaged with its 26 feet rafters driven into the ground with such force that only 4 feet protruded above the surface. Wow.
A version of London Bridge was destroyed by a tornado. It's not a factoid I thought I'd learned today.
This is probably the Great Tornado of 1091. London Bridge is falling down. There you go.
Oh, I always thought that was about because it burned down once, right?
Yeah, I thought it was to do with it falling down, but no, it was tornadoed. That's amazing.
Wow.
Oh, look at that woodcut. Oh, wait, no, that's a
great.
modern one. Tornadoes struck the heart of the city, causing a great deal of damage. It was first documented tornado in British history from accounts of damage. Oh, that's a different scale, a T8. Oh, London Bridge was destroyed by a tornado in 1091, destroyed by fire in 1136 and 1212. Whilst not demolished, it was badly damaged by fire in 1381, 1450 and 1633.
Took them 400 years before someone went, should we ever go with brick?
I want to know if there's any first-hand accounts. That's what we're after.
Yeah, get Samuel Pepys. When was he around? Probably not that early.
No.
That was the fire, wasn't it? That's definitely I don't know. That's I'm going back to primary school history now, which I haven't gonna demonstrate my ignorance very quickly, but I suppose that's what we're here for.
There's a powerful tornado wreaks havoc in London. Historical records. I mean,
yeah, what are these records?
Yeah, exactly. It is the internet. You could link to them. London Bridge, not for the first time, indeed fell down or at least badly damaged. Wind struck, blah, blah, blah. Nope. No link to... Oh, so whoever wrote that previous thing just nicked it from the Telegraph.
I don't want to break a fourth wall illusion, but I've lost you.
Have you?
I can't. I've got a black screen. I don't know if that's my end or yours.
Hang on.
There you are. There you're back.
I'm back.
Sorry
Well,
about that.
I mean, we're at the end of this, like trying to find the earliest tornado records. The Guardian's not linking to it. I'm going to just go through this last one. Well, I'm going to try and share my screen with you because this is really good to end on. Can you see that?
Yes.
The little known story of the tornado which ripped apart a London Underground station.
Oh shit.
Gunnersbury Station's roof was torn off by a twister in December 1954, which also chopped homes in Acton in half.
Wow.
The car was thrown 15 feet in the air, but landed without so much as a puncture. Love it.
With the wheels, the rest of that car looks fucked. I don't know what they're talking.
Yeah.
What are you bragging about?
Tornadoes are something you probably wouldn't associate with London. Most visitors are quite limited. In fact, they wiped out much of London in 1091, just a few years after the Norman Conquest. That tornado was so vicious it ripped apart the wooden London Bridge. More than 850 years later, another vicious tornado ripped through London, concentrating on an Acton area. As well as damaging high streets and houses, it also seriously damaged Gunnersbury Station. Well, shit. Imagine if that
looks like that looks like Blitz era sort of London. I must have been some like horrific flashbacks for people.
Oh yeah, imagine it was like 10 years
after the war.
Yeah. The sky went black during the terrifying twister, and that a car was carried 15 feet in the air. According to the book Tornadoes by Michael Allaby, it then landed without so much as a punctured tire. It did look pretty fucked though. The tornado had originated in the English Channel before gathering speed above Portsmouth, then ripping through West London before dying out in Herefordshire. It hit West London at afternoon rush hour and left a train of relative devastation around 9 miles long. Fucking hell. Well, there you go. I actually did think I experienced an earthquake in London once, but it was that oil depot blowing up in West London.
When was that?
2000. I mean, I was at uni, so it was at some point between 2003 and 2006.
Right.
And I think it might have been like the weekend before the terror attacks, maybe.
Oh right, yeah. Damn.
Like, because I just remember it was around that time anyway. It was around the same time. But yeah, it was like a big oil thing blew up in West London, and I was in London, in southwest London, and yeah, it woke me up, and I felt the house shake.
That's terrifying. When when a house shakes, I don't know. It's just that as a concept, just
unless you live on a bus route.
Well, yeah, it's true. Yeah, or close to an underground, I suppose. Frequent lorries driving by. But even then, it's never quite when you feel the foundations of your house shake.
Yeah, like, it's a bit different.
Particular, yeah.
The earth is moving.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really cool.
Yeah,
that was a good hour. It's passed very quickly.
Truly, that was crazy.
Yeah, thanks for coming to Internet with me today.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
So, what have you got up to? Like, tell us about your books. How's it going?
Things are going all right. I suppose it feels like a long time ago now, but it is. Life's been quite good since lockdown began in a weird way. I had my first book out, Egress, Morning Melancholy of Mark Fisher with Repeater Books back in March, and just published a new edited edition of Mark Fisher's Final Lectures, which is quite a nice companion thing to Egress. I think they complement each other, which is quite nice. Which came out a few weeks ago, also with Repeater Books. Physical editions coming in January. It's out now as an ebook, and since all that happened, just trying to get by now, seeing what's next on the horizon, trying to find the next thing.
You looked for an exit and found one out of London, at least.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So now it's like which feels like a big new step. I feel like it was always trying to find the closure of as you read from my bio on the blog at the beginning, I've been looking for the closure of a weird postgraduate experience that was now almost 3 years ago. I think leaving London's kind of opened that next chapter in a way that I didn't think it would. So, and that was only 2 weeks ago. So what happens next is anyone's guess, but quite excited about it. So we'll see.
Don't forget, you've got a Patreon.
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah, if you want to check out the blog, you can check out xenogothic.com, and I run a reading group on every Sunday, which is now expanding over the next couple of weeks and months to include various different kind of lecture courses and reading groups and essays and things. And I'm just trying to it's a new venture that's just started. It started walking, and
Awesome.
see what happens with that next. But yeah, if you want to support, check out over there.
Great. Well, thank you for everyone for watching Come Internet with me, with Matt Colquhoun AKA Xenogothic. All the links will be at the arena page, linked off the blog post for this post. And if you want to support me and my podcast Permanently Moved or this show, head over to thejmo.net/support. Cool. Thank you very much for coming internet with me.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.